Yes, thank you very much. My name is Gunther Neumann. I'm head of technical at REMONDIS, and I'm the last speaker, so I hope everyone is still excited. It's always difficult to talk as the last one. REMONDIS is part of the Ressman Group. We are a family-owned and operated company. We have over 60,000 employees worldwide and global turnover of 12 billion euro. Whereof half is organized by REMONDIS, which is responsible for the water and waste management and the recycling. And then we have two sister companies, Renus Recycling, which is a market leader in logistics in Europe, and Zaria, which focuses on biogas and biodiesel production from animal waste and from food waste. REMONDIS is active in 33 countries. We are founded in 1934, and we have over 800 facilities. I focus now on the more on the key facts. It's over 200 water treatment plants, over 200 drinking water treatment plants, over 100 hazardous waste facilities, and over 60 composting plants. We are one of the largest energy from waste operators in Europe. We process around 4 million tons of waste to produce electricity, heat, and steam. And on these pictures you see three of our beautiful references. One is in Frankfurt, which is in the middle of the city. You can see in the background on the top right the skyline of the city of Frankfurt. It's in a partnership with the Council of Frankfurt. In the picture on the bottom left, you see our Oberhausen facility, which is in Western Germany. It's around 700,000 tons, also in a partnership with the Council of Oberhausen. And on the bottom right, you see our Stassfurt facility, which is purely for commercial industrial waste, which is in an industrial park in Eastern Germany, where the output of the heat and electricity is directly used in solar production. Because I want to focus in this presentation about alternative fuel production, I thought I'd show you a snapshot of our facilities in Europe. So we produce RDF, we have MBTs with and without RDF production in several countries. So we have in total 13 facilities which are either MBTs or MBTs with RDF or purely RDF, which are in the United Kingdom, in Netherlands, Germany, and in Poland. In total, we operate 9 MBT facilities with a total input of over 1 million tons, and it's predominantly municipal waste, so from councils. RDF is produced at 11 facilities by REMONDIS, with an input of also around 1 million tons. The calorific value produced of the material is between 12 and 20 megajoule per kilogram, which is pretty similar to brown coal or lignite, lower than natural gas. The moisture content of the final product is between 12 and 25%, which is significantly better than brown coal, and the chlorine content is usually below 1%. On the pictures on all these slides, the different references of REMONDIS facilities. We are not only producing electricity from RDF, we are also producing electricity from biosolids. Overall, we cover and process around 1.2 million tons of biosolids every year in Europe, around 900,000 tons in either specialized biosolids incineration plants to produce electricity or as a substitution of coal in power plants. On these pictures at the bottom, you see our beautiful Vera facility, which is in the port of Hamburg, in the middle of the port, which is next to the water treatment plant, where the biosolids from the water treatment plant will be fed with the conveyor belt into the incineration facility, and then it produces electricity, which will be then reused at the port. We are also running biomass power plants, large scale and small scale. Here you see an example of our large scale facility in Lünen, which processes around 140,000 tons of biomass. It is at our head office, which is in Western Germany, in Lünen, which is one of the largest recycling centers in Europe. There's just some pictures of the BMK, the large-scale biomass power plant. We are also operating several small-scale power plants where the power plants are attached to composting facilities or anaerobic digestion facilities, and where we take the clean oversized material from composting facilities as well as untreated timber and produce electricity. And that, we believe, could also be an opportunity at one point in time in the future for the Australian composting market. On the top left picture, you see an example of a small-scale biomass power plant. You see the in-feed bunker. You see then the up-feed conveyor into the power plant, and then you see the stack where the emissions later will be released. In Australia, we are since 1982, so we celebrate this year our 25th anniversary. We have over 1,000 employees at roughly 30 locations, and we are operating around 600 trucks and processing around 400,000 tons of recyclables and raw materials. I don't go through all of the locations, but as you can see, from Weipa to Melbourne, from Canberra to Perth, we are in all relevant major and regional centers. And here we operate several composting facilities, like in Port Macquarie and Lake Macquarie, several transfer stations, and 6 of Australia's largest landfills. We are producing RDF since over 20 years in Europe, and we see this as an ideal fit for power plants and cement kilns. In Germany, the cement industry uses RDF already since 1987. And just to give you a guideline, in 2012, alternative fuel accounted for already 60%, and some cement kilns already use nearly up to 100% of alternative fuels, combination of RDF, biosolids, and other products. We see that the Australian economy has a high demand of electricity usage and not enough fuel, and because it's all exported, so therefore there's an opportunity to use RDF in Australia, but also in several countries in Asia. I just thought I'd give you a vision how the circular flow economy in Australia could look like in, let's say, 2030. You can see at the top the different waste streams which are already in place, which will be collected, like commingled, CNI, CND, food waste, biosolids, and MSW. Once this is collected, it would go then through the different processing facilities like MRFs, RDF plants, MBTs, digesters, composting plants. The output would go into the different power plants, and the gas produced either from landfills or digestion facilities could then be upgraded, and this upgraded biogas would then be, as a replacement for natural gas, be fed back into the gas stations where the collection trucks then could run the waste collection. Some of these things are already standard in Australia. A lot of these things are standard in Europe, so it's probably the path where Australia is heading to. What do we have now? Which opportunities do we have now? We are progressing the path of RDF production and bio-drying of different waste streams right now. Very good material, very suitable material for RDF production is dry waste or non-food material, which comes from curbside collection, from CND and dry CNI waste. Or you have the wet CNI waste and the MSW, which would go through an MBT process, which then also can be a source for RDF, for either domestic markets or international trading. Just showing you some examples of RDF facilities REMONDIS has built and operates. This one here is a very classic example. It started in 2006. It's a facility in Poland, in Opola, a throughput of 100,000 tons. Initially, pure RDF facility. It treated mainly MSW from a local council. And then a couple of years ago, as you see at the bottom picture, we bolted on bio-drying tunnels. So we started with RDF and added the bio-drying component. And it's a very successful example of our Polish MBT facilities. In Erftstadt in Germany, Western Germany, at the Dutch border, we have a facility which was built in 2005. That was the year when the landfill ban in Germany came in place. And here we process around 160,000 tons to produce RDF out of MSW. In the UK, we have a facility which produces RDF out of CND waste. It's not it doesn't have a biological component, because CND waste for sure is a dry material. In the Netherlands, in Nijmegen, we have a bio-drying facility which treats, since over 10 years, 75,000 tons per annum of MSW to produce later on electricity. To give you an idea of the main steps to set up an RDF facility in Australia, you need to think about which countries do you want to export to, with which countries do you want to deal. You need to make sure that you're legally allowed to export and also use the material in these countries. So the local rules, international rules, and the national rules and guidelines are very relevant. You need to analyze your shipping and transport component in Australia, overseas, but also in the destination country. The export pricing calculation is quite important of the product you produce. You need to secure volumes for the long-term investment you're going to undertake. You need to have a very good understanding of the material you produce. It means you need to do some trials for your input product. You need to have a very wise and thought-through decision about the setup of the technology, because once it's built, you have to operate it for a long time. And you need to negotiate offtake agreements with international partners in the specific countries where you export the material, or in Australia, where if you use it in domestic space. And these offtake agreements need to have variability in regards to quality and quantity. And then, for sure, the design, build, and commission of the facility. I thought I'd give you also a little snapshot about the export of the material in case you export the material. So it's for sure, if you use a local solution, you don't have to bale and wrap. You could transport it with normal large volume trucks. But if in case you export material, you need to bale and wrap the RDF, put it in 40-foot high cube shipping containers, road transport in Australia, shipping, custom clearance, and road transport in the destination country. And then for sure the unloading, debaling, and the use on site. We have established a network of RDF distribution in Asia and in Australia. You see some examples of destinations we are working on. Overall, you can say it can take around 30 days, sometimes more, sometimes less, due to customs clearance and local transport arrangements. A very critical step in the offtake of the material is the negotiation with the off-takers in Australia as well as overseas, where it is very important to understand the culture of the partners, the local law, and you need to be there quite often to convince them that you're the right partner. It doesn't work over the phone. We are doing we are processing RDF for over 20 years, as I said, for several large international players like Heidelberg Cement, Cemex, or Lafarge Holcim, but also for smaller players in different countries in Europe. To produce RDF, as I said, we need to do intense analysis of your material composition and your quality you're gonna export later on. So we did a few trials in the last couple of years. This is an example of our trial in 2015, where we hired processing equipment and sampled, trialed, and analyzed it as per European standards. We did further trials in the following years. It's an example in 2017, this year, where we set up another large-scale trial to understand our different waste streams and RDF capabilities of different production markets. These are, maybe not quite clear to see, these are pictures of our different RDF products which we produce out of different waste streams, CNI, CND, MSW, in different locations. We're not only working in Australia on the production of RDF from commercial and industrial and MSW, we're also working on production of biofuel from biomass. These are recent pictures from our setup in Thornton, which is in Newcastle, where we produce alternative fuel from clean biomass material. We believe that the Australian waste industry will go down the path of alternative fuel production, and especially RDF production, It will be a new industry, which I believe will be a success story. This will go into domestic and international markets for trading. It will replace coal and gas to some degree, and it will be beneficial for the environment. Most industrial countries have already implemented the use of RDF and other alternative fuels, and I think Australia will be an exporter of not only resources and like coal and other fuel products, but also alternative fuels. And we also believe that biosolids could be part of the fuel usage in Australia, and biomass material from composting facilities or from or clean biomass can also be part of the solution. As we run 11 plants in Europe with over 1 million ton input capacity since over 20 years, we believe we would be the right partner in case you have an interest in these projects. The major challenges to set up a facility is clearly the securing the volumes, suitable volumes, getting the right licenses for the site where you're going to produce your RDF, and negotiating the offtake agreements with the right quantity specification and quality specifications. We have done several trials. We understand the different waste streams. We believe in the Australian economy. It's a very strong and very stable market, and we see that there's a high energy demand in Australia and in Southeast Asia, and therefore believe that RDF is part of the future solution. Coming to the end of my presentation, REMONDIS is an ideal partner for the collection and recovery of the different waste streams of RDF production, of biodrying, and we operate several transfer stations, composting plants, landfills in Australia. We have several partners in Australia as well as overseas, commercial partners, JVs, partnerships, but also PPPs with councils in several countries. And my last slide, how can REMONDIS assist you? Thank you.